In a seemingly normal home in Pennsylvania, 12-year-old Malinda Hoagland endured a nightmare no child should face. Starved to a skeletal 50 pounds, shackled to furniture, and beaten until her broken body could take no more. Her father and his girlfriend turned their basement into a prison of torment, erasing her laughter with cruelty captured on video. What drove them to erase her life? And why did the world miss her silent screams? If you're new here, hit that like button and ring the bell. We're exposing the darkest corners of true crime. Stick with us, this one's heavy. Malinda Jean Hoagland entered the world on July 4, 2011 in Pennsylvania. A day of celebration that marked the start of a vibrant life. Born to Rendle Hoagland and Rondellyn Smith, she was the youngest in a blended family that included Rendle's 3 daughters from a prior marriage, Emily, Abby, and Jamie. Her half-sisters paint a picture of pure joy, summers spent darting through the yard, capturing caterpillars to watch them morph into butterflies and releasing fireflies with a giggle under the stars. Winter brought snowball fights and her annual mission to build the perfect snowman, her cheeks rosy with delight. Indoors, she'd curl up with Gremlins, her favorite movie, dreaming of pizza, McDonald's Happy Meals, or a scoop of ice cream. At school, Melinda was a star. Her teachers recall an outgoing girl who never got in trouble, maintained above-average grades, and wrote heartfelt thank-you notes to staff, even the cafeteria workers who smiled at her daily. Her sisters say she woke each morning with a grin, a social butterfly who made friends effortlessly. But beneath this idyllic surface, cracks were forming. In 2019, when Melinda was 8, her parents separated, granting Rendle primary custody. That's when Cindy Warren entered the picture, a woman with a shadowed past that would soon swallow Melinda's light whole. By 2023, Melinda's world darkened after Rendle, Cindy, her son Gavin, and Melinda relocated to West Kane Township, Chester County. Her sisters noticed a chilling distance. Phone calls stopped. Visits vanished. The last time Jamie saw her was at a hotel in 2023 after a competition. Melinda was buried under blankets in a frigid room, her voice weak as she claimed she was fine, making new friends at school. Rendle and Cindy cut the visit short, shooing Jamie away. At North Brandywine Middle School, red flags emerged. 35 absences, 25 unexcused before she was yanked into an online charter school by late 2023. Rendle's Facebook posts erased her, showcasing only himself and Gavin at movies or Boy Scout events, while Melinda's last photos from Christmas 2023 revealed a haunting change, gaunt, tired, with bruises peeking from her hands. On May 3, 2024, she appeared on camera for online school, smiling through a 50-pound frame, down from 77 pounds in 2021, a weight matching a 5-year-old. The next day, May 4th, Rendle called 911 at 7:28 p.m., claiming she'd hit a tree on her bike and run into a kid on a water slide. Paramedics found a girl barely alive, pronounced dead at 9:58 p.m. Doctors were horrified. Melinda had no fat, 6 broken bones, 75 bruises, pressure sores, ulcers, and damage to nearly every organ. Her arms and legs were deformed, her body a map of months, if not years, of torture. Police searched the home on May 5-6, seizing handcuffs, leg shackles, ring cameras, laptops, and over 450 videos and 200 images, evidence Rendle and Cindy tried to delete. These recordings, starting around 2021, showed Melinda locked in the basement, forced to sleep on the cold floor without blankets, starved with a padlocked pantry, and shackled to furniture like an air hockey table. They made her hold stress positions, squatting or balancing books overhead for hours, beating her with a metal spatula when she faltered, as captured in a December 2022 video where Cindy punished her for dropping books, texting Rendle to beat her and throw her in the shower with more books. Text messages plotted to hide injuries, including rubbing soap in her eyes in April 2024, leaving her with vision impairment. On May 3rd, after camping, Melinda lost consciousness between 1 a.m. on May 4th. A video shows her slumped in the car, Rendle and Cindy prodding her, then shackling her to the table, convinced she was faking. They waited until 7:30 p.m. to call 911, debating smelling salts, with Cindy casually suggesting Rendle run her to the hospital like it was an errand. In those final hours, Melinda's pleas, heard in videos where she apologized repeatedly, begging for one more chance, echoed a broken spirit, reprogrammed to blame herself.
Good afternoon. Today it's my somber duty to discuss the death of 12-year-old Malinda Hoagland. We are here to announce that we have arrested Melinda's biological father, Rendle Hoagland, and his girlfriend, Cindy Warren, on charges of attempted homicide, aggravated assault of a child, kidnapping, and other related charges. As always in our justice system, these defendants are innocent until proven guilty, and what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be difficult to hear, and I may struggle to get some of the facts about this case out, so I ask that you please bear with me. On Saturday, May 4th, the West County Police Department and the Westwood EMS responded to a 911 call from Rendle Hoagland, who reported that Melinda was unconscious and non-responsive. Shockingly, they found a 12-year-old girl who was broken and barely alive. Our investigation revealed that Rendle Hoagland and Cindy Warren subjected Melinda to evil and torment that no child should ever have to endure, and they did it for months. Based on this and other evidence, we decided to charge the defendants with attempted murder. They were arrested last night. Their bail was set this morning at $1 million cash. We are awaiting a variety of medical-related reviews and reports to be concluded, at which point we will decide whether to charge the defendants with murder of Melinda. These reports can take weeks to obtain, and we'll determine whether those charges are warranted when we have a chance to thoroughly review all the evidence. And because this is an ongoing investigation with respect to those potential charges, I'm not going to be taking any hypothetical questions about murder today. But in the following days and weeks, everyone is going to ask, how could this happen to a 12-year-old in America? I don't have the answers right now, but what I can say immediately is that Melinda seemingly had limited access, incredibly limited access to the outside world from the moment that she was pulled from school. And what I can also say is that on Saturday night, when police and first responders truly encountered Melinda in a state where they could recognize something was wrong, they did everything in their power to save her. And while we wish that the 911 call had happened sooner, it's very clear that everyone rang every alarm in every direction to make sure that she was taken to the best place and that the best investigation could happen in an attempt to make sure that she could be safe if she could be saved. So if there's something to take from this right now, it's that if you have concerns about the safety of a child, even of a child that you hardly know, you should say something. Call 911. Call Childline at 1-800-932-0313. Childline reports can be even anonymous when you file them correctly. And if you think you have information about Melinda's case, please contact the Chester County detectives immediately at 610-344-6866. There's a 9-year-old child in the home that is Cindy Warren's biological child. He appears to have been very well treated and unharmed and is out of her custody currently, obviously.
The evidence paints a picture of calculated evil, but the twists run deeper. Cindy Warren's past is a chilling prologue. In 2000, her stepdaughter Jessica, just 2 years old, died from head injuries Cindy and her ex-husband McKinley Warren blamed on a fall from a parked car. Autopsies revealed she'd been thrown, her body covered in bruises, yet Cindy and McKinley showed no emotion, staying home while Jessica was airlifted to Children's Hospital alone, dying the next day. In 2007, their son Isaiah, 4, was found looking like a prize fighter after a title bout, covered in bruises from potty training discipline. An anonymous tip revealed he was locked in a bedroom for days, unable to speak from trauma. McKinley confessed, serving 50 years after pleading guilty to Jessica's death, while Cindy, testifying against him, got 3 to 7 years for endangering Isaiah, her friends pleading for leniency, claiming she was abused by McKinley. Investigators believed she was complicit in both cases, but couldn't prove it.
Investigations report the murder of 12-year-old Malinda Hoagland.
The Chester County child died last month after prosecutors say her father and his girlfriend tortured and starved Melinda for months.
Our investigative team worked on gathering information for weeks on suspects Rendle Hoagland and Cindy Warren. Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Joe Holden.
Ms. Warren, what about Melinda? Prosecutors say you tortured and starved her to death. Is that true? We caught up with Cindy Warren at an unrelated court hearing just yesterday and tried to ask her about the death of Malinda Hoagland. Do you want to say anything at all in your defense?
I'm not here for that.
I'm here for it.
I'm glad you are.
Protective measures were in place to keep 12-year-old Malinda Hoagland away from Cindy Warren. This 2020 custody order we obtained spelled it out in black and white. Quote, "The minor child shall not be left in the care of Cindy Warren, father's fiancé, for any period of time exceeding 1 hour unless expressly agreed upon by mother and father through written communication." According to police, Melinda was living with Rendle Hoagland, her father, and his girlfriend, Cindy Warren. And according to lawyers for the family, this was in violation of the custody order.
We knew that something had gone terribly wrong.
Alexandria Crothemel and Tom Bosworth are attorneys representing Melinda's estate, as well as Melinda's 3 older half-sisters.
Monroe County was already cued in to the fact that she was living with Melinda and that she had this history.
This history, attorney Tom Bosworth is referring to Cindy Warren's guilty plea all the way back in 2007 for felony child endangerment for the abuse of her 3-year-old child in Monroe County. Dressed in black, this is Warren leaving court in 2007. She was sentenced to 3 to 7 years in jail for endangering the 3-year-old. At the time in 2007, Warren was married to a man named McKinley Warren. He was charged in a completely separate cold case from the year 2000, where prosecutors say he beat his 2-year-old daughter Jessica Bach to death. McKinley Warren pleaded guilty and was given 50 years in prison.
Fast forward to 2019, Rendle began dating Cindy, ignoring a 2020 custody order limiting her contact with Melinda to 1 hour, a restriction born from this history. Melinda's sisters sensed danger. Jamie was exiled from home when Cindy arrived, and communication with Rendle faded. Emily confronted him about Cindy's past, but he dismissed it, severing ties. Twist 2. Melinda's mother, Rondellyn, failed her too. Despite partial custody, she saw Melinda rarely, writing desperate letters in January 2024, pleading to reconnect, worried about her health. Yet a letter from Melinda, dated around the same time, defended Rendle and Cindy, claiming they fed and cared for her, asking for money for pads but not a visit, with odd phrasing and a plea to avoid rude talk. Her sisters insist it's coerced, not her words, a manipulation to isolate her further. A fall 2023 child hotline report from school about her thinness led to a CPS call, but Rendle claimed trampoline injuries and eating issues, promising a doctor's visit that never happened, prompting her school withdrawal. On July 25, 2024, Rendle and Cindy were charged with first-degree murder, facing the death penalty for starving and torturing Melinda to death. Her autopsy confirming no disease, just starvation and blunt force trauma.
I'm Chris Deber, Chester County District Attorney. It's my unfortunate duty today to come before you and to again discuss the death of 12-year-old Malinda Hoagland. This morning, we upgraded the charges against Rendle Hoagland and Cindy Warren. We charged them with first-degree murder, second-degree murder, third-degree murder, kidnapping, and hundreds of related charges. The defendants are currently being held in Chester County Prison. Because of the nature of the charges, bail is not available to them. And although more conversations to have with Melinda's family, and although we have more work to do on the investigation front, I can stand here before you today and say that we intend to pursue the death penalty in this case. And then as we investigated, a preliminary number of cell phone videos clearly showed that Melinda was terrorized by the defendants. And since our last press conference, we've had a forensic pathologist make a number of findings during Melinda's autopsy. Melinda died of starvation and blunt force trauma. She did not have any disease. She did not have something that caused her to lose weight. She was starved, and she was forced to exercise to the point that she had, according to the pathologist, no sign of body fat on her. In fact, Melinda had injury to practically every major organ system in her body, including her brain. While medical experts chronicled her injuries, the team of fabulous detectives here went through and parsed through incredible amounts of data. This was data from cell phones, blink camera videos, and other sources. They found over 450 videos of evidentiary value, hundreds of still images of evidentiary value, and text messages of evidentiary value that spanned 2.5 years. The evidence shows that these defendants communicated regularly about how they were going to terrorize Melinda. She was subjected to physical and psychological torture. And as someone who has reviewed just a small fraction of these photos and videos and text messages, I will tell you that it appears that Melinda was reprogrammed to accept abuse as part of her life. She would not report abuse because she was afraid of being beaten even more fiercely than she had been before. The physical punishments spanned a really wide and torturous gamut. On multiple occasions, Melinda was struck in the face so badly that she had to be held home from school because makeup would not cover up her injuries, and makeup was regularly employed in order to cover up lesser injuries. And when Melinda was 11 years old, she suffered from rug burn to her face so severe that could not be covered up by makeup that she had to be held home from school for weeks. On top of that, she was subjected to other types of strange torture. She was chained to furniture. She was forced to run in place. She had been forced to do push-ups for hours on end. She was forced to hold her hands above her head, and on some occasions hold books above her head. The level of exercise that they placed on Melinda must have caused her prolonged pain. And in fact, we believe that in some instances, they caused stress fractures to her body. In one video in particular, Cindy Warren was recording and sharing with Rendle Hoagland Melinda crying, holding her hands above her head, holding a stack of books, And the psychological torture in this case was real. The inadvertent and side torture was palatable because they didn't just chain her and watch her over responsibly. She was shackled to the basement floor, furniture in the basement floor, and forced to sleep there. And when she woke up in the middle of the night needing to use the bathroom and no one could unshackle her, she was forced to urinate on herself. And when the defendants found that out, they blamed her for it and they beat her even more. The psychological abuse was real. They belittled her almost daily, it seems. They told a child that they were going to kill her. They forced her to do endless amounts of chores. They forced her to do endless amounts of exercise, all while berating her and calling her an idiot, saying that she was worthless. When in fact, this little resilient girl, while enduring all of this, was excelling at school. Just months before her death, she was placed in honors classes by her cyber school. Another question that we've seen and we want to talk about, because we've been, and I hinted at earlier, is will we charge the death penalty in this case? We are pursuing the death penalty here. I'll talk a little bit about what that process looks like. Every first-degree murder charge, when it is supported by certain factors, is eligible for the death penalty. One of those factors that we are to consider is torture, regardless of the age of the victim, whether they were tortured before or as part of their killing. And that is the primary factor, although we are researching others that involve in this case. The next step legally is for us to file paperwork at the time of arraignment. So that's the next legal proceeding that occurs after a preliminary hearing. And we intend to file that paperwork. But I want to tell everyone, like in every DA's office across this Commonwealth, that determination is not set in stone. Because we have been working on this aspect of the case, the investigation phase, I have not gotten a chance to personally sit down with Melinda's family. They will be consulted as part of the final determination of how we proceed. And we will be looking at other factors that we're required to pursuant to the death penalty statute. In the end, before trial, we will make our final determination as to how we are going to proceed with the death penalty. But I can tell everyone right now, we will be filing that notice at the time of arraignment. Another question that I think we all are asking is, what in the world could we have done to prevent this? It's really difficult for me to be able to say in this case, because on one hand, when you read what we've chronicled in the affidavit of probable cause, you have to feel like we do, that there has to be something that we could have done, that we could have done better for Melinda. But I want to say that part of the reason I'm here and why this is such a critical press conference to me is we're dealing with the unimaginable. And I think it's important for school districts, law enforcement, CYFs across the state and across the country to see what happened here. Because although it doesn't get a ton of press, this does happen on exceedingly rare occasions in different parts of the country. And it's time that we all go back and look at our processes and make sure that we are doing everything we can to help our children, to make sure that they're not being subjected to this. But on the other hand, I want to make something perfectly clear. We are here because there is evil in this world. We all like to, I think, at times forget about that simple fact. And sometimes, no matter what everyone does, no matter how much we try, evil harms innocent people, even innocent children. And so we are here today because of what these defendants did. And for no other real reason. Because we've reviewed scores of school records, we've restored all kinds of records here in this case. And the evidence shows here that teachers, school districts, whether they were cyber school or in school, like in-person school, they cared about Melinda. They checked in with her. She was reprogrammed. And they did the best that they could with the evidence that they had. There is no investigation into any agency for failing to act in this case. This is not a case where abuse was actually reported and no one did anything.
Her sisters, Emily, Abby, and Jamie, filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Chester County, its Children and Youth Services, and the school district, alleging missed red flags like the 2020 custody order and unexcused absences. They launched the Justice for Melinda Facebook group, pushing for a child abuse registry to track offenders like Cindy across counties. But the pain lingers. Could Melinda's cries have been heard if Rondellyn fought harder, if CPS visited, if teachers pushed further? Her voice, begging for forgiveness she didn't owe, haunts us. What do you think? System failure or pure evil? Share your thoughts below, join the Justice for Melinda group, and support their fight. Subscribe for more raw, true crime stories. And let's demand justice together. Stay safe. Until next time.